Welcome back, folks. Last week, the market did exactly as we predicted in our previous forecasting session. Let's see what setups and ideas we are having for the coming week and what will be our buys for the coming week. So, we starting from Euro USD daily chart. Describing the scenarios again, we were having a relative equal highs at this point. The market cleared the liquidity pool that was resting about the relative equal highs, and if you remember, I drew this upward channel and indicated toward it that this channel will sooner or later will broken down to the downside, and that is what exactly happened. The market broke this channel to the downside. The market retested this channel and continued its downward move. So that was exactly what I forecasted in the previous session, and that is what happened in the market. Now moving to the lower time frame to see what setups we are having for the coming week. In the 4-hour time frame, we are having this gap, huge gap, fair value gap, which the market will have to fill in order to keep its bearish move. If we further move to a lower time frame, to H1 time frame, we still are having gaps in the market. This is the first one, and this is the second one. The market will have to fill these gaps in order to keep its downward move. Apart from these gaps, we are having the supply zone at this point, which the market can touch, or even the market can go a little above this point. Let me remove. Like, these are relative equal highs, and there is surely liquidity resting above these highs. And if we see, there is also a gap above these highs. There is also a gap above these highs. This gap which I am talking about, the market can fill this gap too. So be mindful, whatever setup you are trading, manage your risks, and you need at least 3 confluences. From 3 confluences, I mean you need to have 3 signals. Our first signal confirmation is that our bias is downward. Our second signal confirmation will be the gaps or the supply zones, and our third signal confirmation will be the candlestick formation. We will be looking for the bearish candlestick confirmation at the areas of these gaps or at the areas of these supply zones. So only then we will enter in the market, we will short the market, and we will manage our risks. Be also mindful of the situation, the fundamental happening in the market or happening around the world. Because you may be aware of the fact that Hamas has launched missiles, rocket missiles towards northern Israel, and which can affect the market moves very badly. So what is our drawn liquidity, or what area we are targeting for the profit taking? So guys, this gap at this point is our drawn liquidity, is our target for profit, or let's say we can short the market at this point. Why at this point? Because have a look at this low the market has created. If the market go to this area to fill the gap, the previous daily gap which is open in the market will also go below this low, and will clear the liquidity pool resting below the low. So that will be our profit target. Now let's move toward GBP USD. This was the daily trend line which we drew on daily time frame. Let me zoom in. Our bias was bearish at this point when the market formed this bearish engulfing candlestick. But what was the very unexpected move? The market formed sooner this up close candle with the huge upwake. And why is that so? Because if you see, we are having again relative equal highs at this point. The market is knowing, the algorithm is knowing, the institutes, the banks, the hedge funds, knowing that their liquidity resting above these relative equal highs, there are stop losses, and in order to move the market to the downside, the market will clear this level. The market will clear this liquidity pool, and the market will take the traders out of this area. And then sooner the market continued its bearish move to the downside. So guys, this wick confirms our bearish bias because it is indicating that the market has cleared the liquidity pool, and now the market has no way but to go to the downside apart from the fundamental events that happen around the world. So what will be our drawn liquidity? What will be our profit target? Our profit target, initial profit target, can be this area, which is the fair value gap on daily time frame, and it can be this area. Second profit target is this fair value gap on the daily time frame. Now let's move toward the lower time frame to see if we are having any setups to short the market. Yes, we are having setups like the gaps. The first one is this gap. The second setup we are having for shorting the market is this. This is a supply zone. This is an order block. So what are our signal confluence to short the market? Our first signal confluence will be the bias, which is downward. Second signal confirmation will be the fair value gap or the order block, and third signal confirmation will be the candlestick, the formation of bearish candlestick at these areas. Even in the 1 hour time frame, we are having lots of open gaps in the market at this point. So we will see our bias in the daily time frame, and we will move to the lower time frame for entries. Even we are having another fair value gap in the 1 hour time frame at this area. So always keep in mind that we will be using the bigger time frames for our buys, our daily buys, our weekly buys, and we will use the lower time frames for entries. So the first signal confirmation, as I said, is this lower move is down move, or bearish buys. The second signal confirmation will be these gaps or these supply zones, order blocks, and the third signal confirmation will be the formation of a bearish candlestick formation at these areas. Guys, now moving towards AUD USD. In the daily time frame, we are having a high liquidity zone, and the market tested the high liquidity zone on the daily time frame. And our bias for AUD USD was also bearish, but the market failed to break the previous week low at this point. And the market also kept on rising, and the market created a relative equal highs at this point. And currently, if we look at the market is consolidating between 2 points, and the market is neither making higher highs or higher highs, higher lows, or the market is not even making lower highs and lower lows. So we are not clear about this AUD USD chart for the coming week, that what will happen. The fundamentals can change the market trend to either sides. It can change the market trend to the upside, or it can change the market trend to the downside. And the reason I'm unclear about the market is because the market is having this fair value gap on the daily time frame on the upside area, and the market is having fair value gaps to the downside of the current market price. Let's move to the lower time frames to see what is happening. The market has created these fair value gaps. The market is nearby having an order block, a demand zone, and below the demand zone, below the order block, there is another fair value gap. So if the market come to the downside to fill this fair value gap, to mitigate this order block or to fill this another fair value gap, then the market can move to the upside, because it will the market will clear this low, the market will clear this low, and the market will fill the gaps below. The market will clear the liquidity pools. The market will take the stop loss resting below the lows. So there will be no reason to further continue the downward move, and afterward the market can start to form higher highs, higher lows, and the market can go to this fair value gap, and only then we will be able to say what is happening in the market once the market makes this move. So now moving towards the gold market, we were bearish on our buys on gold was bearish for the previous week, but before having a bearish buys, I mentioned this gap, this huge gap the market has created. So if you knew, and I shared my views that the market will fill these gaps, if the market needs to move lower, the market will have to fill these gaps moving towards the lower time frames. Still we are having gaps at this point. Still we are having gaps at this point. And if we move, let's say we are having another gap above this high, fair value gap at this point. So again, I will say that we will be needing three signal confluence, three signal confirmation. Our first signal confirmation is our bearish buys. The second signal confirmation will be the fair value gap or this order block supply zone, and our third signal confirmation will be the bearish candlestick confirmation on any of these areas of it can form the bearish candlestick confirmation, or the market can form the bearish candlestick on this gap. The market can form the bearish candlestick on the supply zone, and the formation can happen on this fair value gap too. One extra thing, I think if the market breaks this point, which is a high liquidity zone and which is the low created by the market, then the market can easily come to fill this fair value gap in the coming week. So guys, these are my thoughts, and this is what I think about the market, what can happen in the coming week. So one thing I will always advise to you is that manage your risks and refrain yourself from over trading. Wishing you the best to all of you, for the coming week. See you guys in another forecasting or another learning session. Take care.